Hello and welcome to Leashed Dad's podcast. I am Jared, and that is
Justin.
we are two leashed dads that did get together to discuss our everyday lives while chained to our never-ending parental responsibilities. And tonight is the end, folks. Whether
You,
you're listening to
hey,
this or not,
did you
it's the
know?
end.
Did you know you are the best thing I found on the internet?
No. we
No. Or I feel the most alive when I'm by your side.
we
Like,
actually you actually found me at a comedy club or a comedy show
no.
with a
Yeah,
bowling
we did meet
event
at
afterwards.
we met at a comedy show in the underground
Yep.
or whatever. The common or the center.
I
Whatever.
actually forgot what it was called.
Um God, I can't remember what the
Like the pit
Union
or
Center.
something? I don't know.
Union Center.
Huh?
It was like the
Union
Union
Center,
Center.
that's it. Yeah.
Food, fun, Unos,
They
movie
did have
theater.
good food down there.
Yeah.
That
The
was
Union.
all right. It wasn't cheap, but it was
No.
pretty good.
Cost me way too many dollar diner or diner dollars. So, or cost me 2 meals even a day or whatever it was. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. I had plenty of
Yeah.
meals throughout the week. But yeah, like Jared said, folks, this is kind of like the Last Hurrah. As a collective, we decided that it was just the best for right now, I should say. Um, we just not getting what we needed to keep this going. Not saying it wasn't meaningful to people out there now or whatnot, but just was not getting traction like we needed it to, or wanted it to, more or less, to make it worth everybody's time, right?
Exactly. After how many times we've shared our email address for the show, after we've extended our handout for you to come on board if you'd like to have an episode, it just the engagement is just so low that it doesn't justify us taking the time out to do it anymore because our kids are getting older. Stuff is going to start blowing up here in summer, and especially with a couple illnesses that I had in my family, I just don't have the time anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just if it would be a little bit different if we had a following after these 2+ years, but we don't. So
At
and
least
and and I
a
apologize.
reasonable following, an
Yeah,
engaging following.
and I apologize for all you that I just kind of ratted out, but um, reaching out would have helped. Just saying.
Yeah, we do. We don't get us wrong. We do certainly appreciate all the following that we had thus far. Um, I know in the past we've had some comments, maybe like one or two via YouTube or wherever. Um, I know on TikTok I've had people watch and like the videos as well. We've had views there, but views and likes, they're not going to necessarily get us everything going. We needed the engagement. We needed um, the comments. We needed, some sort of showing that you guys were engaging with us. And we're not saying you guys are, not doing your part. Goodbye, Arlo.
Yeah. Well, to take the reins here while Justin takes care of his Pikachu son, um, I we went into this as kind of an experiment as well as more or less wanting to build a community around dedicated fathers, really, and to cover topics that that were interesting to us at the time, as well as topics to help you prepare or just reminisce for you if you yourself are a parent or would like to be one. um, and I did learn a lot from this process. I did. I now know that it's not as easy as it looks, And a lot of these people who are already have a following on social media, they get a podcast because of their following, and it just grows from there. Now, I also learned as we started this thing, the market was already oversaturated with podcasts, way oversaturated. I mean, I can't even keep up with anything anymore. It's too much. And how are two Midwestern dads with no online following and not willing to spend hundreds upon thousands of dollars on marketing just to have a shot at a
to
legit
get our
following?
foot through that door.
Yeah, hundreds upon thousands of dollars, which
Yeah,
we don't have.
no. Even if we were to throw maybe like $100 a year or something like that towards some sort of marketing thing, um, I don't think it would still justify. Like if we
No.
brought on an editor or something to take care of our podcast, or brought on a producer, that's cost with us,
Yep.
right? We can't afford that. Not, I mean, if the podcast, or if our show would take off and start producing money, it would be a different story.
Correct.
And that was, that was a goal, which unfortunately we have not met. Um, but at the same time, just like Jared said, though, we're not gonna. We are two Midwestern dads that we're doing this. It's again started off as an experiment to see how it would work, and we thought it was going well. We had decent views, listeners throughout the first few episodes and whatnot. Um, it just, as time continued to go on over the 2.5 years, it just kind of went downhill to an average, a very small average. And we also kept track of like the analytics and everything, and just wasn't. I don't know what. I mean, via marketing or whatnot, what we could have done better for you folks to make you want to get engaged. We've done comments, we've done or questions on like Spotify. We've
Yep.
again, like Jared said, the email for you to reach out to us. TikTok is always open to comments or stitching. If you've stitched, well, then I actually have no idea how I'd find out. Um, so if you're stitching our videos, whatever, it's good for you. Sad I don't get to see that, but there's some way or another, or doing something with our videos would have been probably helpful too. But free marketing, word of mouth marketing would have been great. Um, However, it just wasn't following suit. As much as we did it with maybe our families or friends and things of that nature, that didn't help. Uh, you know,
Nope.
I guess it helped in a little bit. There was some interest or just questions of how things were going from time to time. Um, However, long story short, again, just didn't have the following to justify continuing on down, right now. Um, but it was a good project. I think this project had a decent run, and like Jared said, we learned a lot of things, like the marketing aspect, social media being overly saturated, and it comes down to the idea of where we would even put the podcast too. Um, for the longest time, I mean, it was being uploaded to Google, Apple Podcasts as well. Once Spotify or um, everything got loaded up, it was connected to Google and Apple Podcasts in the past. Putting it on YouTube, putting it or a short on TikTok or whatnot, like 30-second videos of the episode. Um, but it just wasn't getting what it needed. Um, and I think even trying to find the right category for leashed dads here uh, made it very difficult, because I mean, who knows? Lifestyles, things of that nature, whatever category you want to think of when you're looking at like Spotify or your um, sites and or like categories within what I want to listen to, or on YouTube or whatnot. The algorithms they have. How do we beat that? to make ourselves number one? How do we optimize your search for us? Um, it was very difficult. I don't have like the necessary background or anything, or we didn't have the finances to essentially do that.
Right.
So, but I enjoyed doing it. I would
Yeah.
continue to do it if we could continue to justify the reasoning. So, but the project does have to come to an end because, as Jared said, the kids are getting older, a little more needy throughout the week, as they get involved more in sports. Um, I know wrestling season for like school wise or the youth program has come to an end finally. Um, I don't mean it in a bad thing, in a bad way, but it's, Monday and Tuesday, or Mondays and Thursdays were pretty chaotic, being out of the house till like 8 o'clock at night, and sometimes not even getting home till 9, depending on what we did. Um, yeah, my Saturdays have gotten a little more chaotic though, which is really unfortunate. We've got swim lessons for pretty much all the kids, a soccer game, sometimes wrestling. Wrestling's normally on Sundays, but Saturday, depending on where we go or what's going on. So, yeah, it's just Saturday, or like the weekends have just become, here's what you're going to do. Nope, just kidding. We got other plans.
Yep.
So, yeah. Sick children, never easy either when you got to take care of them.
Yeah, I mean, a little reason why we took kind of this long to do this is because me and the family have been sick for 3 weeks, and finally I believe I've kicked the last of it. Knock on wood, son of a bitch. I never should have opened my mouth because now I'm gonna get sick again.
I got wood to knock
So,
on for you.
and then I also, on top of it, threw out my back, and I'm still in some pain, not as intense as it was 3 weeks ago, but like I'm on, back and forth to the chiropractor. I made a huge mistake of living off of Tylenol for 4 days, and that really killed me almost. Not like literally, but I felt like a piece of shit at the end of that fourth day, and I got to get out of it. I got to stop taking this shit
Yeah.
because I ended up like getting these really bad fever, but again, that might have been because I was sick, and it was just crazy. But thankfully, I'm somewhat on the level now. I've only had like 4 hours of sleep every night for 3 weeks because of the pain. But last night was my first night of over 6, so I'm pretty happy and actually awake because I would be asleep right now if I
Yeah.
didn't have
Thankfully.
that last night. So.
Yeah. No, that's
But
why
yeah,
we've been.
that's just an example of, and in order to have a successful like continuation of something like this, we would have to have a backlog of like constant stuff to either reissue or new episodes that we just kind of have in the back burner. And again,
Yep.
that requires hours and hours of time between us recording it and you getting uploaded and everything else. It's just
Yeah. Would it
ah.
have been easier to have a third person like a producer? Yes,
Oh
because
hell
they're
yeah.
like, finding somebody that has some time like that, it would have been great. But it, we probably should have done that earlier, like within year one. But again, that might have required paying. And yeah, there's definitely sites out there or companies out there that would do that, but they would probably charge an arm and a leg at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the goal really was to see where we could go, like as a podcast. The main goal was to connect with a community, build a community of with parents who feel chained to their everyday their lives, their responsibilities, their kids, family, whatever it may be. um, Build that community here for you, knowing that you're not alone, trying to find hobbies, trying to find different meals out there to cook, or just connect and like, okay, you're having a rough time with your kids at school because of bullying, or just something going on at school with teachers, things of that nature. Understand that we've gone through it, we go through it right now. um and it's just one of those things we wanted to do. Or if you consider yourself an uncle to some kids that aren't
Yeah,
really related to you by any means.
that was a good
Um,
episode.
yeah, like our first episode right there, our second episode, had a guest, that was willing to join. So just things of that, we loved doing that. Um, what happened was we just didn't have all the plans that we did have kind of fell through because I think we'd rather have a better following first before we did anything bigger, um, and more impactful at that point. Don't need to have a small impact on or do something big that's not going to render anything for us. Um, so it's not like we didn't want to keep those promises or anything like that, like those plans. It's just very hard to do when you don't have a big following that's going to, or a viewership or anything. Um, but again, I think we've learned what things to do, things not to do. Um, Maybe having a third person on board right away or something of that nature would have helped by all means. But overall, I enjoyed doing this. I would
Me too.
happily do it again. I've thought about other things, career wise. I think it'd be fun to be some sort of like radio person or
Yeah,
podcasting. However, it's not necessarily in the cards. Would it be
yep.
fun to try? Yes. Um, but radio here in the Midwest or just in the country, the U.S. in general, isn't very stable.
Nope.
Anything can change. Viewership. This is actually something I caught recently too. Is uh, earlier Wednesday morning when we recorded this episode, which is at night. Um, I was listening to it or a podcast or a radio show saying radio is not exactly the most stable within the U.S. because of people's following, just viewership or listening, whatever you want to go with. Ratings go up and down like crazy. So if you're making good ratings, you're going to probably make it. If you're not making good ratings or something happens where you come to a disagreement with the company you work for, and guess what? You're probably out. Definitely probably out.
Yeah.
You could have a good following your normal listeners during the morning, or your like, ones that follow you on Patreon or whatever other sites you use to keep your name out there and like your podcast or whatnot. Yeah, they could follow that. They could sign up, subscribe, whatever. But if you don't get enough of that either, you're not getting anywhere.
That was an option for us, but again, we don't have any following. So
Yeah,
why would we set up a Patreon if we have 2 views a week? You know?
exactly. I think we're losing out on that area. Maybe we could have started really well. Who knows? Um, it was a risk we took, and that it was a small loss in the long run, personally, or my
We'll leave
opinion.
it up though,
Yeah. Well,
at least for
yeah.
another year or so.
But like you said, if you, I mean, if we would have had more time to make more episodes or things behind the scenes, our backlog for you folks, our example. I know we tried to do it at one point, have a couple episodes just to go in case something did come up, like Jared throwing his back out or family being sick or things of that nature, like me getting sick or something, or vacation, even being on vacation.
But yeah,
You know, it's one of those things. Um, have a backlog or have something ready to go to get uploaded um, for you folks, so you're not necessarily missing out and all of a sudden like, all right, well they didn't release an episode this week. What's going on? Yeah, sure. Around the holidays, it's one thing. You're probably understanding it's one thing, but even then, we could have had something going for like planned ahead or whatnot. Um, we did try to do that. We've even tried to make shorter episodes. Going from we've evolved a little bit to the shorter episodes, from like an hour or whatever to 20 minutes. Um, Experimented, see what would actually keep your attention, or get you to get our viewership increased. Uh, Small data pool, but at the same time, that through that small data pool, it just wasn't enough. So we hate to do it, but it's for everybody's sake at this point in time, for our
Yeah.
sanity, for your sanity. Um, don't get us wrong. We love all you that listen, that follow us. Uh, just in the long run, engagement would have helped a lot too. Those questions we would have loved to read off every other, the following episode or incorporated them into the episode. Um, it would have been great, but uh, we appreciate all the people that have come on the episodes.
Yes.
Our
Thank you so
guests,
much.
thank you for uh, helping us out in attempts to get follows and everything going as well. Um, their work does not go unnoticed either. So they did what they could to help us out, and again, tried to help you guys get a connection as well, knowing that just because Jared and I were the only two dads doing this, like we had a couple moms come on, and they shared their stories a little bit there. So it was great, you know, showing that they too are leashed parents at this point. But
Yeah.
Jared, anything else you want to say at all as our last hurrah?
No, I mean, thank you for all that have watched and listened over the years. Really appreciate it. As it's just another part. It's just part of our personal journey as individuals as well. I'm stopping unlocking jar potential. It's just but it's for the same reason as this almost, but it actually comes down to a point where I've seen all the shit that's on YouTube right now and TikTok, and I don't want to be a part of that garbage because I've seen and witnessed people take these videos and think it's the truth. And I don't really personally know what I'm talking about half the time because I'm not trained. I don't have any education in some of the stuff they talk about, and I'm just kind of spouting off. And if I would be actually scared if someone was like trying like following me religiously to the
Yeah,
point where they do everything that I tell them to do. That scares the shit out of me.
makes you somewhat liable.
Right. I don't want to be liable for that, or like especially some of the political crap on YouTube and TikTok too. You have people like just feeding into this without doing their own research.
Yeah.
And that's what I encouraged. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd encouraged in one of my videos too to do your own research and keep an open mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could always preach those things, right? Or say what you feel strongly about. Again, making sure
Yeah,
you
who's
do
gonna
your
watch
own
though?
research, keep an open mind on every subject you're looking into
I
or
did. Yeah,
considering.
I know I did say that. I know I
Yeah.
did. I forgot which video it was, but yeah.
It was one of your shorts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
But
you know,
again, I just got terrible reception on those damn videos, and I have no need to. I don't feel I need to continue. So I'll probably try to do something else when I have actual training and stuff like that, and as well as some more education in regard to whether it be life coaching or psychology in general.
yeah. Or just a little more research on your end, too, right? Doesn't necessarily have to
Yeah,
be coaching or anything because you were inspired by doing life coaching in a way, and this was supposed to be kind of that way, wasn't it? Um, Even though it probably didn't take off the way you thought it was going to.
yeah,
Yeah. So experiments happen. We have to make experiments. We have to try something. Just if anything, if you're listening to this podcast, and besides all these, I wouldn't call them negative things we're talking about for our show itself. Just reasons that are podcast / experiment failed. Um, if anything, we're not blaming our viewers by any means.
No.
We're blaming ourselves for not being able to build a better viewership.
Yeah.
We didn't take the right path or the channels to build that viewership. Or we just, you know, tried something and didn't adapt or evolve fast enough to the point where we should have or made those necessary changes. Um, However, again, not blaming any viewers because you're not at fault. You did your part. Um, we just we ourselves are learning, and we needed to maybe learn a little faster or adapt or make those changes faster. But now we know for next time as well, uh, like a teachable moment. So
Yeah.
we just keep going at it. You guys don't give up. Uh, if anything, again, learn from this as you have to take risks. You have to be willing to do experiments in your life to find out what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. Well said.
So,
Well, I've got nothing else, but I've had fun. I really
same.
enjoyed some episodes.
I love the
Really
topics.
enjoyed
Don't get
it.
me wrong. The topics we did, like hobbies, cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking was really good. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy cooking more and more. Um, just talking about other things, finding ways to connect with your kids. We should have
Yep.
done like a spousal. I really wish we would have done a spousal episode, um, or a spouse episode.
Logistically, yeah. That it
I
just
don't think it would ever happen with the
no.
or anything. One of these days, if we ever do come back or whatnot, I would love to get a kid on too. besides my daughter when she was infant and cuddling with me, but baby time is out the window at this point. So I always recently try to get her to go down for bed and everything. So, but further ado, folks, it was nice. We love it. We love all of you that followed us or listened to us. Jared, I love you. You sexy
Love
little
you too,
man,
man.
big man. Yeah, yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely miss having y'all around every week or so, or whenever you decide to listen to the podcast. Um, but again, I'm Justin. That is my good old buddy pal Jared, constant co-host, and we'll see you when we see you on the other side. You lucky parents. Have a good one.